Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations on the occasion of the holy fast of Ramadan. Today I'm going to speak to you about a syndrome which can be headlines capturing on occasion of the current events related to terrorism and counter-terrorism, and that is post-traumatic stress syndrome. This syndrome was described at the end of the 19th century in American Civil War called soldier syndrome, and then soldier's heart syndrome, and then later in the First World War, and then again in the Second World War, and then more recently. It is a syndrome which occurs as a result of severe stress. And this stress, as I inferred a while ago, is related to war, but may also be related to other natural or human catastrophes, like earthquakes, floods, fires, imprisonment, and so on. In these situations, suffering occurs in different stages. Immediately after the event, but more important, a little while after, and also a long while after. Many patients who suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome get better on their own, but most of them require support and treatment. Maybe 10% get better on their own, 10% or 20% get worse, and the rest can get better with treatment. What happens in post-traumatic stress syndrome? A severe psychosocial stressor occurs, and the stimuli are too much for the patient to tolerate. He finds that he cannot cope with the amount of stimulation that he has been subjected to, and he suffers on account of that, of certain symptoms which are designed to make him relive the experience and try to attain control of it, because during the experience he was not in control. The stimulus was in control and he was not. So by attempting to relive the experience, whether in fantasy or memory or dreams, he is making an effort to come back to a situation where he will be in control once more and overcome the shock or the frightening experience of being overwhelmed by stimuli which he cannot control. Now, when he does that, you can consider it a form of self-therapy, and this throws light on what we can do in therapy. But before we go on to therapy, let us talk about some of the factors which result in post-traumatic stress syndrome. Again, as usual, there are biological factors which make the readiness among people differ from one to another. Some people are more ready than others to suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome on account of genetic and biological factors. But there are psychological factors in which the patient is not well equipped with ego defenses that make him able to resist and to control the onslaught of stimuli that he is subjected to in the stressful situation. The nature and severity of the stress is a most important factor, and usually any person, no matter how strong he is, will succumb to a stressful situation that is strong enough. There is a famous example of a cardinal in Romania who was a very strong and charismatic person, and when he was arrested by the communist takeover and subjected to inquisition, he gave way quickly within a matter of days and confessed all his sins on broadcast. So no matter how strong a person is, the strength of the stimulus is usually enough to overcome the strength of the individual. The treatment of post-traumatic stress syndrome consists partly of drug treatment, in which he is given tranquilizers, possibly antidepressants, to help overcome the severe anxiety symptoms that he is suffering from. But I think more important than medication in this case is the supportive therapeutic attitude given in psychotherapy. This supportive attitude helps him to regain confidence in himself and to feel that he is able to control the situation and that he is no more subject to an overwhelming series of stimuli. And given a group support is also helpful if he finds that there are others who went through the same situation and who have overcame it. This helps overcome the post-traumatic stress syndrome. With regards to fasting, I think this is a different situation where feeding the patient can have an important soothing effect on his stress situation, in which case I would recommend that during the treatment there is no fasting for this patient. Thank you very much.